This is Providence Television International, the game changer. Stand by for the next program.
Good morning and welcome to the interview session of the Morning Drive on Providence Television International. My name is Ugbebo Ikekwa and I have with me in the studio the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of Providence Television International, Dr. Emmanuel Ihariba. You're welcome.
Good morning to you all. It's 64th Independence Anniversary. We are happy that we remain one entity. But I also want to use this opportunity to thank all our viewers at home and abroad for staying with us. I mean, this program for many people has become a must watch. I'm happy about that because we are the game changer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, on behalf of the management and staff of Providence Television International, I am wishing you a wonderful Independence Day celebration. We'll move straight to the interview topic. Like I actually did promise, we'll be looking at Nigeria at 64. Where should we be?
That's a loaded question. Where should we be? Where are we coming from?
Okay.
Because they are interrelated.
Exactly.
Right. If we know where we are coming from, we should know where we are and where we should be. And I think people know where we should be, not here. And people have said Nigeria 64 is still crawling. That's not too palatable. We should be running now at 64, winning medals, winning laurels, okay, as a country. But looking back, I feel a sense of great disappointment because I'll tell you, I was born into a country where things worked, okay, where you didn't talk about crime, particularly violent crime. No, the occasional patches here and there. I was born into a country where, with a little resource, you could buy whatever things you wanted to buy. With a little resource, you could go to the best schools. Things were done on merit. Okay? There was no sleaze, no high-profile sleaze as such. All right. And I want to believe that people who were born, children were born about 30, 35 years ago, may never know, they may never know that this was once a good country, where things worked. I was born in Lagos, for instance, and the primary school I went to, a very great primary school, St. John's Primary School, Aroloya, one of the best, and one of the most popular in Lagos. Any Lagosian will tell you, this was a school founded by Bishop Ajayi Crowther way back in 1864. Okay? And I remember vividly in those days, anytime we were on break, we would be treated to fresh milk. Yes, ice cold, fresh milk, every day. I wish some of my classmates would be here to attest to what I'm saying now. I'm talking of the 60s. In this same country, there were institutions. The judiciary was a solid institution. The judiciary that produced people like Taslim Elias, Justice Madarikon, Esho, and these were icons. They were idols. They were like gods. In all fields of human endeavor, we had them. A nation where the University of Ibadan was ranked one of the top 50 in the Commonwealth, not even in Africa, in the whole of the Commonwealth. Where is the University of Ibadan today? Where we had the best of brains in all fields of human endeavor. This same country, where you could send money to children abroad to pay their school fees. Okay? In a country where, as a young officer, you were on level 5 or level 6, how much was your take-home pay? But you were satisfied. There was so much contentment in this country. You didn't look up to those people. They were on their own. People were, rich people. Yeah, they were on their own because you could go to the same supermarket and buy the same thing that they were buying. I remember in those days when I was, I think on level 8 or level 9 in Bendel in those days, I would go to Leventis with just 20 naira. My both hands would be full with all sorts of things, exotic drinks and beverages, full. And I would still have substantial amount left. When I was on level 9, I had a flat somewhere here in Benin.
Okay.
My salary was a little over 300 naira. My flat was 100 naira.
Okay.
Yes. 100 naira cannot get you. What can it get you now? Let me not even talk about it.
You can't even take a soft drink.
Yes, you can't talk about it at all because it's all the phantasmagoria. Yes, but 100 naira a flat, and a new flat for that matter.
Okay.
I still had, some substantial amount left, and I could plan. Okay, I could plan to do one or two things. Teachers in those days, with their meager salaries, they would save. They would send their children to the university, and they would build a small house, maybe 2-3 bedroom flat, with their meager salaries. Farmers were on top of their game, right? And it was a lovely country. It was a lovely, lovely country. There were no strikes by ASU. In fact, I don't think I knew ASU throughout my second, maybe it was not in existence then probably, but we didn't have anything like stoppages. Even the NLC, how many stoppages did we have in those days? Nothing. But suddenly, the country took a nosedive. And that is where the question is valid. Where should we be? We should be, by my own reckoning, by now, we should be among the top 50 in the world. Top 50 countries in the world. Because the potentials are there. Potentials in human resources, in abundance. Potentials in natural resources. Where are the granite pyramids today? Where is cocoa? Where is rubber? I mean, this whole region, the old Midwest was a rubber region. Where is rubber now? It's gone. Where is cocoa? Gone. Granite pyramids? Gone. All we did was to depend absolutely on petroleum products. And where has that led us? Rather than being a blessing, it has become a curse. Yes, become a curse. Because we forgot about the agricultural sector completely. And that's what has kept a lot of nations going. Look at Malaysia. I mentioned Malaysia the other day. They came to Nigeria here to pick up rubber seeds. Today, they are the major exporter. Yes. Ivory Coast remains now the major exporter of cocoa, taken over from Nigeria. Where are the mineral resources? Manganese, bauxite, all sorts. Experts have even said that in this country, buried underneath our soil, we have things that can give us, that can produce nuclear reactors.
Okay.
Yes. Who will ever have thought 20 years ago that we'll have gold in Zamfara? Gold in Zamfara. Which they are exploiting now for personal benefits. Okay. Yes. I mentioned yesterday, was it yesterday or a couple of days ago? Where is Nigeria Airways? Gone. Ethiopia Airlines has taken over the continent of Africa. Taken over completely. Where is the National Shipping Line? Gone. NNSL, Nigerian National Shipping Line. Gone. We used to have vessels, cruise. They would take Nigerians along the western coast and maybe somewhere in Europe. Nigerian vessels. Yes, you go on board and you enjoy yourself with your families. Where are they now? They are gone. Because we have had less than visionary leadership in this country. Less than visionary. And leadership is all about vision. And you pursue it tenaciously. Yes, and we have had people in Africa who have pursued leadership, even around the world. You can mention them. We have had, in America, for instance, you can point at so many, right from Washington, to Abraham Lincoln, to Reagan, great people, Clinton. In England, Churchill. In India, you can talk about Gandhi. In Africa, you can talk about Mandela. Yes, you can. In Ghana, you can talk about Nkrumah. Till today, they are still iconic figures. But in Nigeria, we seem to have lost it because there was no spirit of nationalism.
Okay.
Yes, no spirit of nationalism. All those structures we had in the First Republic, where are they now? First Republic, where are they now? It was in First Republic we had the University of Ibadan. Okay? Doing well. In the First Republic we had the University of Ife. The most beautiful architectural designs in the whole of West Africa. University of Ife. Okay? Had Ahmadu Bello University. can mention them on and on and on and on. I'm a product of that age, the age of propriety. Even though politically some of them went off tangent. All right. But not to compare to what we have now or what we have had in the last few years. General Obasanjo was lamenting the other day. He said they had some vessels, suddenly they were sold off at very cheap rates. Yes. He said it quite clearly. Carry over from previous administrations. So we'll look back. A lot of people on this day, they feel some hemorrhage. A lot of Nigerians, hemorrhage inside of them to see that Nigeria had descended to this low. Okay. When we cannot even trust the electoral process. We cannot. Yesterday I mentioned it. For the sake of people who did not watch, I'm repeating it, that our electoral body must behave like Caesar's wife without reproach. That's the principle. But this day, what do we find? You go through an election or electoral process, and then there are so many discrepancies. Some of them unbelievable. Discrepancies. Whereas this is a simple process. Okay. You vote, you go back to your work. All major cities are closed down because of election. An election that takes probably about 3 or 4 or 5 hours. Everywhere is closed down. And at the end of the day, what do you expect? The same old story. That's what Jonathan was saying. That look, we have the best of equipment, but what are the human beings that manipulate this equipment? At the end of the day, the winner and the losers cannot embrace. What do you call that? And yet we say we have had an election. An election means that everybody should be happy. Even the losers. Yes. They will even tell you, oh no, we fought gallantly, but we lost to a better opponent.
And so it brings me to this my next question, because actually the INEC issue was something that I wanted us to discuss, but you've already delved into it. And so it brings us to this question. So many people have said that the judiciary also have a major role to play as regards this issue of bad governance that we've had over time. In the course of, you see, INEC, contestants that come out boldly to tell you, go to court.
It is very nauseating. Nauseating and insulting.
Okay, and so do you think
in
that
advanced country they cannot even say that?
Okay.
They cannot say that.
Okay.
I mean, somebody who has gone through a skewed process will tell you boldly, you go to court, because they know that the judiciary will not give justice.
Okay.
That's one. And we have talked about it. It's not a secret anymore. We have talked about it. And I feel so sorry because I just mentioned some iconic figures in those days who even served under the military, but they kept their heads high. Where can we find them? Where can we find another Oputa? Where can we find another Esho? These were icons of the judiciary who were incorruptible. And when they were coming, they didn't mix up with all sorts of people. When they were coming, you knew that the judicial officer was coming. They carried themselves so well. All right? Taslim Olawale Elias, Justice, our own great citizen in Edo State, Justice Obaseki, who had sometimes acted as the Chief Justice of the Federation. He lived a very quiet life down there on Mission Road here in Benin, a very quiet life till he passed on. Not corruptible. And yet, that was a man, without him, you could not talk about customary law. You could not talk about customary law because he was a giant. Yes, these are people who maintain the judiciary. And the judiciary, as I've often said, is the most stable of the three arms of government. Because if there's any hiccup, the judiciary remains. The executive goes, the legislature goes, but the judiciary remains. Why? Because it is the judiciary is the arbiter. When there's a conflict between the executive and the legislature, who settles it? It's the judiciary. But today, over time, people have pointed all kinds of fingers at the judiciary. And I don't think I feel happy as a Nigerian, because that is one institution that should be very, very solid on the ground. Right. Very solid. And that's why these political actors, a lot of them have been accused. Okay, well, you do a few things, and then you approach the judiciary, money changes hands and things like that. Why? Why?
Okay, well, since we're taking it step by step, we'll now look at the legislative arm of government itself. Have you been impressed by the way the legislative arm of government has acted over time?
You cannot tell me that you have also been impressed.
I've not been impressed, but we'll have our different views.
Good. You have not been impressed because you believe that they have not done well. The legislature, let me tell you this, they need not be on the same platform with the executive. You are on the same platform, political party platform now, with the executive, and you cannot see anything wrong with the executive arm. That's not the kind of legislature we want. Look at the U.S., for instance, where we borrowed this ideology from. Yes, the president is a Republican. The legislature has a majority in the Republican. And yet, in fact, they will be the ones who criticize the president more. Why? Because national values, the country first. Because that is what everybody looks up to. National interest, or what they call nationalism. The country first. That's what Biden was saying the other day. He had to step aside. Why? Because of national interest. The black people there at the UN General Assembly, they were not clapping. Others were clapping. Because he made a very pronounced statement, very profound statement. Okay? They were not clapping because they are sucked into that kind of situation where they will prefer personal interest to national interest. That's no nationalism. We had a bit of it in the First Republic. People like Tafawa Balewa, Awolowo, Zik, Sardauna and Sokoto. So the great icons we had. And look at their lifestyle, even in those days. Very simple. Tafawa Balewa lived in a 3-bedroom flat or something. There's a few chairs here and there. Prime Minister was the head of government. Here, now, as I talk to you, some of the leaders we have cannot even count the number of houses they have. You are laughing, but that's the truth. They cannot count the number of houses they have. Somebody the other day is still in England now. We all know him. The story of organ harvesting and things like that. Yes. The number of houses that man has, nobody knows.
Quite true.
Yes. I'm not even talking of cars. Why? Why must we? And it's primitive. It's primitive accumulation. Very primitive. I've spoken about the monkey syndrome. I don't know if I've said it on this station. The monkey syndrome. I would say it graphically so that people can learn. Now, if you have 3 monkeys or 4, put them in a small cage. You have a big one. You have 3 small ones, and then you put a bunch of bananas in the middle. Watch what the monkey does. The big one will carry the bunch to his chest. He knows that the little ones are hungry. Occasionally, he will pick one. Excuse me. You take. They are hungry. Meanwhile, look at the irony. He cannot finish the one he has on his chest. And the other 3 little ones are hungry. The better thing to do is to put it at the center so that everybody can take from what we now call the patrimony, Commonwealth. Look at it. All of them will feed and there will be leftovers. Okay?
Yes.
That's the monkey syndrome. All right. And that's what we have in this country. Somebody who have more than 20 houses. What is he doing with 20 houses? He doesn't sleep in some of them for 2-3 years. Look, go to Abuja. It was in the news the other day. There are so many houses in Abuja now, under lock and key. And their owners are somewhere, either in Dubai or whatever. They built those houses as living accommodation, but you won't find them there. Just there, decorated and things like that. So they will just look at it, yes, this is my house. The same thing with money in the banks.
Yes.
Some of them don't have money in the bank. They don't keep money in the bank. They have their money at home. Yeah, because the bank or the banking system cannot accommodate what they have.
And we'll come to that. Yes, I was actually going to throw something as regards the banking industry in Nigeria at 64. We'll take this break. We'll be right back.
This is Providence Television International, the toast of today's television viewers. Don't be left out.
Thanks for staying tuned. I'm moving straight to the Nigerian economy. We found out that, yes, over time, we've been thrown into the present state of Nigeria, economically speaking, because of loans that we've taken from outside this country. What is your view as regards Nigeria's relationship with the World Bank and the IMF?
And guess what? In years gone by, Nigeria was dishing out money to some international organizations. Yes, lending out money. Is it not the same country that gave money to Namibia for their independence struggles? Nigeria. Even South Africa. That's what pains me today, that they are driving Nigerians out of South Africa, through this xenophobia thing.
Exactly.
They forget, most of them forget, Nigeria played a major role seeing them through independence struggles because Nigeria was buoyant. Gowon, when he was head of state, what he said is still standing today, has not denied it. At the point in time, he said he did not even know what to do with the money we had.
Very true.
I mean, we're hosting all kinds of festivals. Second, All Africa Games, Festac, and all sort of things. That's what gave birth to Festac Town.
Yes.
But there was so much money in the system. But he came, he didn't know what to do with the money, and he said it himself. Now, the banking system, you can tie that with the economy. In those days, interest rate was as low as 1 or 2%. It was, I mean, a loan was almost interest-free. So you could do things that gave you satisfaction. All right. Today, go to the banks. From 40% upwards, how do you repay such loans in this same country? Look at the economy. For example, I'm happy President Tinubu talked about it. In this same country, time was when you could buy a car. I mean, ordinary folks could buy cars 2,000 naira. When I was building my house, and I'm still there today, I started with 22 naira a bag of cement. 22 naira. I ended up, I think, about 40 naira. And I could afford it easily. Yes, 22 naira a bag. I still have the receipts. All right? And people who were much lower in status and in salary structure, they could build small houses, and everybody was happy. The policemen on the road, they were happy. Look at the policemen now, they stop you, there is anguish on their faces because they are poorly paid and they are poorly kitted. Yes, poorly kitted. And these are people who are supposed to look after our security. The banking system is even worse off. They are laying off staff on a regular basis because they cannot cope. All right? The exchange rate is the highest so far in the history of this country. I think dollar is about 1,600 now or something.
Exactly.
Yes. Where do we go from there? And when you go to the market woman will tell you, if you argue with her too much, Oga, come, how much be dollar now? Because everything is around the exchange rate. All right. So we must do well to bring that down. And the reason why it's not done is that we are taking so many loans.
Okay.
IMF, World Bank, they will tell you, yes, come and take a loan. They will even encourage you to take a loan because they want to subjugate. They want to make you a stooge. Because when they give you these loans, then you become enslaved to them. That's natural. I mean, even in ordinary life, when you are a debtor, anytime you see your creditor, your heart flies away. Oh, this man has come going to look for. You know, that's the situation. Let alone the whole country. The Chinese people were saying the other day, rightly or wrongly, that look, they will seize our national assets unless we have to repay. Okay? We have mortgaged some of values. And that shouldn't be. Nigeria 64, where should we be? I think we should be among the top 50 nations of this world. Because we have everything. God has been so merciful to this country. Sometimes I wonder, God has been so merciful to us. He has given us everything. Maybe that's why our leaders are even the way they are. Because they say that necessity is the mother of invention. Go to Southeast Asian countries. Small countries. Look at Japan. Small country. But 4th or 5th largest economy in the world. For every 10 cars you see on the road, 6 or 7 are Japanese cars. Go to Germany. The factory where they make a Mercedes is like a whole city. What has happened to our own manufacturing industry? Nothing. Nothing. What has happened to our manufacturing industry? What has happened to Dunlop? What has happened to Michelin?
They've all taken it up.
What has happened to local batteries? They've gone. What has happened to Fiat, which we used to assemble here?
Yes.
Yes. What has happened to Peugeot in Kaduna? They're all gone. All right. What has happened to Leventis, to UTC, to Kingsway? They're all gone.
Well, we're going to do this like I've always said. Sorry, I cut you off there. We are going to do something now because this is actually a topic that goes on and on. The 64th anniversary is not something. The celebration doesn't end today. So I'm making you this promise that much as Dr. Emmanuel Legariva is going to throw some little more light on our expectations for some few minutes, we'll come up with a continuation of this program in subsequent morning drive episodes, because we'll still discuss the education sector, the security and health sectors of Nigeria as regards what we expect at 64. So, sir, just a little more light. honor expectations just before we go?
Yes, I mean, there's a kind of synthesis between the government and the people. My prayer, my wish, is that government must do a lot of empathy.
Okay.
What that means is there must be a rise in the level of compassion. For example, once there is compassion, the people are happy. And once the people are happy, the government is also happy. No government, as a matter of fact, look at it carefully. When the people are hungry and angry, no government should be happy. Because you are there at the behest of the people. After all, every president, every governor will go around during the electionary campaign. I will give you this, I will give you this, I will give you this. We must stand by those promises. There must be no broken promises. And we have a litany of broken promises all over time. If I were President Tinubu, I would just take 4 key areas and tackle them very, very holistically. You don't have to do everything at the same time. Yes. Security. Tackle it well. Living standard. In other words, the economy must rise. The value of the economy must rise. Tackle infrastructure, particularly roads. And you tackle housing. Okay. Those 4. When you tackle these 2 and declare a state of emergency in all these 4 areas, you'll be on top of your game. You will be on top of your game. Because once you tackle the issue of economy, there will be more purchasing power for the people, and they will be happy. Tell me, if fuel goes about 200 naira today, there will be jubilation that even government cannot control. They won't be able to control the jubilation that fuel has gone back to 200 or 300 naira. They won't, because people will be happy, and that should make every government happy. Because the Bible is right, always. When the right people are in government or in leadership, the people are happy, they smile. But if it's the other way, some Bible says they groan in agony and pain. So I would suggest and pray and wish that the president to use this occasion of our independence to do some introspection. Let him look inwards and see that he leaves a mark. How are people relating with Buhari today? I'm asking you. How are they remembering Buhari, who just left less than 2 years ago? How are they remembering him? Some will say, oh, never again.
Yes.
Yes. How are people remembering Murtala Muhammad? He was assassinated in 1976. But people are still talking about him. Although there are some pockets of people who feel that he destroyed the public service and all that. But generally speaking, people still remember him. Okay? So there must be a balance.
Okay.
There must be a balancing act. Leadership desires a lot from leaders. Travel less. Travel less. I was happy the other day, rather than go to UN General Assembly, send Shetima, the Vice President, you go there. I will tackle the problems at home, of floods and all sorts of things. That's how to attack leadership. That's how to make sure that leadership works. There are so many things on the table. Let us see now if in the next few days it will rejig the executive portfolios.
Exactly.
Let us see. We are watching. Let us see. Because he himself has said that he's going to do that. All right? Let us see in the next few days if he will announce new blood into the system. From there on, we can hope that, yes, these people will assist him into reaching the zenith of administration in this country. We are looking forward to that, definitely.
All right. Thank you so much. On this note, I want to say thanks for staying tuned. We've come to the end of the interview segment, but remember, like I promised, in the subsequent episodes of the Morning Drive, we'll definitely continue with this topic of Nigeria at 64. Where should we be? We'll look at other aspects that we did not actually have the time to discuss this morning. If you're just joining in, it is Providence Television International. And for those of you who do not still know how to get us on YouTube, just simply go down to YouTube, type Providence Television International, and like my boss would always say, you are good to go. On this very note, I say thank you once again. Please stay tuned.